Madison College Libraries present Howler, Help Online with Library Education and Research. Analyzing Search Results, Part 1. Help identifying the most relevant and credible sources. When you are trying to find trustworthy sources of information on your topic, it helps to have a few strategies in mind. As you arrive at the Madison College Library's homepage, especially if you are new to our library, try a Discover search to get a sense of what sorts of materials you can find in our collections. Our Discover search connects you to print books, e-books, videos on DVD, streaming videos, and some of the articles we have on your topic. To a lesser degree than when using a search engine like Google, what your search will retrieve might represent a fire hose of information. In fact, provided your topic is still relatively broad, you should expect to find too much rather than too little information on most topics. So, how can you find the material that's most relevant to your research interest? The first thing to note is, in what order are your results? Are the most relevant or the most recent listed first? There's no right answer, as it will depend on your topic, but what are you most interested in finding? As you examine each result of a Discover search, your first clue is to look at the title. Some titles are more clever than descriptive, but most will give you a good idea of the material's contents. This search began with a keyword, comic, and, as is often the case with keywords with multiple meanings, some of what you find will be less related to your topic. That's one of the reasons that our Discover search is organized by subject terms. Our article databases do the same thing. The long record of the item will include a list of subject terms. Once you're familiar with the subject terms related to your topic, you can better match your search terms with what you want to find out about. Unless somehow you already know the correct subject terms, start your searches with keywords, but move to subject terms as you learn them. Here's an example. If we use comics, graphic works, rather than our initial keyword comic, it will eliminate many less relevant sources that use comic as an adjective, or those that mean the word comic as someone who is funny for a living. After you examine titles and terms, move on to the source's abstract or short summary. Not every source will have one, but many do. This will give you a more accurate idea of how relevant a source is to your thesis. Ask yourself the following. Is this what you want to write about? Does it address an aspect of your topic that other sources have not? And does it relate to your thesis? Once you have defined your topic more narrowly, you'll probably want to see what articles have been written about it. Here is our A to Z list of databases that provide you with access to millions of articles, ebooks, films, and more. Search results in databases are often organized differently from our catalog, but you can find much of the same information. Note that this article comes from Publishers Weekly. Like our catalog, databases will often provide a list of subject terms, although they might be different from those in Discover search, and they are sometimes different from one article database to the next. Most times, articles have abstract summaries, and you can also learn about the publication the article comes from. In this case, Publishers Weekly is a trade publication for those who track new book releases. Our databases also provide access to scholarly publications on most academic topics. This article on superheroes is from the publication The Journal of Psychology. You can find out more information about any publication by clicking through the link provided in the Source Information field. Some of the academic journals included will be identified as peer-reviewed, which means other experts in the field approved it for publication. Instructors might require that you use some peer-reviewed sources for your assignment. When you have several articles to choose from, pay attention to article length. It's not absolute, but most of the time, longer articles will provide more depth on your topic. Some of our databases index publications that are decades old, so, depending on your topic, make sure you pay attention to not only author, publication, and page number information, but also when something was published. For example, unless you're studying the history of personal computing, you likely don't want articles from the 1970s or 80s. The databases themselves provide more tips on how best to understand your searches. And when you have additional questions, don't hesitate to ask any of our Madison College librarians using any of these methods, or stop in. Thank you for viewing this Howler tutorial.